uh, as our guest panelist and his opening statement. Then we'll proceed with the media questions. Your opening statement on the foreign policy of the Duterte administration, also in relation to the July 12 anticipated tribunal decision. Undersecretary Butch Valdes.
So, thank you, and good morning. Uh, well, I tried to be brief, but I looked at this present issue with China, as I have always said, as part of a process and not a single issue. This situation it did not happen just overnight. This was part of a process. And again, I take you back a few years, aside from the fact that there has always been this area which is disputed. But in the recent years, starting, let's say, 2011, the U.S. announced by the visit of Hillary Clinton here and the APEC meeting in Singapore of December 2011, that they were going to increase their military presence in Southeast Asian region. And in APEC, Obama told Noynoy Aquino that he would be in need of all of our ports and airports in the Philippines, to which Noynoy, with no authority from the rest of the people, and definitely not the Senate, agreed. This was in December of 2011. And 2012, early in 2012, General Dempsey, who then was the Joint Chief of Staff, head, announced to the world that there was going to be an Asia pivot, of which 60% of its naval forces, the biggest navy in the world, 60% of that will be in the Southeast Asian region. If you review your map, you will see where the Philippines is with regard to the Southeast Asian region, right smack into that area, okay? And strategically posed. The problem with the Philippines, our advantage is also our disadvantage. We are located precisely in a militarily strategic area.
Yes.
Okay? And of course, the Americans use our geography, to their advantage, to which many of our leaders, including the last one, acceded. Now, I would always ask the question: when did China start reclaiming these areas to make this airfield? It was after the increased presence of the United States. And I would always look at it in this way: the increased presence in Southeast Asian region is not not connected to the increased presence of the United States in the Middle East and the Baltic Sea. You will know that there is now a great move on the part of the U.S. and its allies, to form a ring around Russia, the NATO, as you know, and of course their presence in the Persian Gulf is right there, and now also in the South China Sea. Why is this going? Why is this happening? We need to look at it from that standpoint and not look at it only from a China-Philippines standpoint. And I ask, if you were China, what will you do? Are you going to just sit back when the more than one half of the strongest military force is now forming a ring around you? Are you just going to stay in China? Or also prepare, just in case these people have bad intentions towards you? again, another question. If the was, the U.S. military presence was not here in the Philippines and not in the Southeast Asian region, would China be doing the same thing? Or would they have, at that time, as they were already doing, starting to talk to the Philippines and U.S. And Philippine business to look for joint exploitation of the resources of the area? I think we have to look at it from this point. And this, going to the issue of the arbitration court. The formation of the arbitration court is even questionable.
Yeah.
And the fact still remains that all the time they say first of all, when I say formation, not many people would even talk about how this arbitration court was formed in the very first place and what has it resolved before. What were the decisions made by the arbitration court before that impacted on the sovereignty of the contesting countries, if there were? It is as if, though, immediately, just because you call it an arbitration court, it has complete decision on your sovereignty. And yet, inside its mandate, it says it takes two. If one party does not want to participate, then it does not hold water. It cannot enforce anything. There is another court for that, of which we are, China and the Philippines this is the sovereignty issues that are handled by that. There is another issue. Do you know that what's this island? I'm sorry. That Taiwan is occupying? Ito Aba should be the issue because it is really an island. It is not a piece of rocks that disappear during high tide and appear during low tide.
Yeah.
Ito Aba is an actual island, and it is within this 200-mile economic zone, and yet they are not being contested. Is it because it is Taiwan and the U.S. told us not to contest it? Let us open our eyes and stop allowing ourselves to be used. Finally, let us do as what most probably I think this present dispensation is. President Duterte says, we're going to talk. And we're going to not just talk bilaterally, we're going to ask that all of the shareholders in the South China Sea, which includes Vietnam, Brunei, Malaysia, Taiwan, China, and the Philippines, talk with only us, without any participation from those that are not part of this thing. And let us talk about the possibility of jointly exploiting the resources of this area. That should be the most commonsensical view and direction that we should take. Not this taking on a militaristic position and asking United States to bomb and fight the battle for us.